Hello, welcome to my new Scrum Master. It's always a pleasure to be here. So today, I'll try as much as I can to make it very short and simple and straightforward. If you are a returning subscriber to my channel, thank you. If this is the first time you are visiting my channel, thank you and welcome. As a way of introduction, my name is John Bosco, but feel free to call me JB, as my friends do call me. I am a professional Scrum Master, Agile consultant for a couple of for how long now? I don't know, for a long time now. And I like to help people and teams and organizations to deliver value. So if you are a certified Scrum Master or a Scrum Master in potency, you are hoping to become a Scrum Master, welcome. So let's get started. For tonight, for today, I try as much as I can to detail what most people have been asking me, the question of how to become a Scrum Master, what are the do's and the don'ts, what are the requirements, what are the prerequisites. So I'm going to share my screen and then I'm going to walk us through what it means to become a Scrum Master. All right, so today I'm just gonna walk us through the path to becoming a Scrum Master. What are the things involved? And in doing that, there are outline or what I called things that we should consider. The checklist. In other words, the Scrum Master, the title of the Scrum Master is who is a Scrum Master or what is a Scrum Master? Sometimes people say both interchangeably without identifying what each of them mean. Gender status. The idea of gender stereotype, is a Scrum Master a masculinity or is a Scrum Master a neutral version of the title of who is a master in Scrum? Common titles associated with Scrum Master, and that goes back to the idea of the gender status, eligibility criteria, academic and professional background. Step-by-step process to becoming a Scrum Master, prerequisites, and how I Need Scrum Master can help you in your desire and passion to become a Scrum Master. All right, so the first thing I wanted to clarify is the idea of who is a Scrum Master and what is a Scrum Master. Right, so the first thing you should know is that the idea of who gives us that idea of identification, right? The idea of what clarifies responsibilities. So I think based on my experience and based on my research, because I've taken some time to research on Agile Alliance and Scrum.org, which are community of practices when it comes to Agile and Scrum. And I realized that the use of the who, goes back to someone's identification. For example, who is that man? Who is that person? Right? You want to give an identity to that person. So it is mostly preferred who is a Scrum Master, right? And then the idea of what goes back to responsibilities of a Scrum Master. What is a Scrum Master? It's more or less someone asking you, what are the responsibilities of a Scrum Master? What are the roles of a Scrum Master? What are the duties, functions of a Scrum Master? So what is a Scrum Master? Like I said, goes back to the responsibility. So if you go back to the Scrum Guide, which is a document that details about the do's and the don'ts, principles, about Scrum, right? So if you're not so acquainted what Scrum Guide is, it is a document that was created by Ken Schwaber and Jeff Sunderland. These are the co-founders of Scrum. So they put this document together where we can always reference as a reference guide in the idea or in the process of becoming a Scrum Master. So they say that a Scrum Master is a person who is, quote, accountable for establishing Scrum as defined in the Scrum Guide, right? So in other words, someone who is a master of Scrum, right? Someone who has that mastery, that skill, that is who a Scrum Master is. In other words, you are giving an identity to a person. It doesn't matter the gender of that person. What matters is who is that person? Oh, in other words, if you have to summarize who is a Scrum Master, a Scrum Master is a master of Scrum. And what is Scrum? Scrum is an agile framework that is used in solving complex problems. That is what Scrum is all about, right? So, and I've made a video about what Scrum is in terms of agile and waterfall. So if you haven't listened to that video, please go back and then take a look at that video. In other words, so you can have a much more detailed understanding about Scrum, agile, and waterfall. Now, the idea of what connotes attributes. In other words, you're asking for the functions, you're asking for the responsibilities, right? So what is a Scrum Master? You're asking what are the responsibilities? What does a Scrum Master do? In other words, a Scrum Master is an impediment remover. A Scrum Master is a teacher. A Scrum Master is a mentor, right? So that goes back to the what. So in order to make it so clear and so very precise, so a Scrum Master, who is a Scrum Master is about what is the identification of a person, and what is a Scrum Master has to do with the attributes, the roles, the responsibility. The what is a Scrum Master is summarized by the different hats that a Scrum Master puts on. A Scrum Master is a coach, a teacher, a impediment remover, right? And all the hats that a Scrum Master puts on. But who is a Scrum Master? Like I said, goes back to the mastery skill identification of a person. All right, so there has been an ongoing debate about Scrum Master. What is the gender status? The idea of master there, does it imply masculinity? Right? Does it demonstrate masculinity? And how about women who are also master of Scrum? What do we identify them with? So in order to clarify, the idea of master in this context has two meanings. One is a noun, the other is an adjective. So according to two well-known dictionaries, Merriam-Webster and Cambridge, I tried to look at the meaning of master there. It says, as a noun, it is, quote, a man who has people working for him. In other words, someone who is an authority, right, who is in a position to command. And historically goes back to that slave trade period time where the master gives command, controls the slaves. As an adjective, it means, quote, mastery, showing great skill and proficiency. Right, so in my personal defense, for Ken Schwaber and Jeff Sunderland, who kind of, used that word, or who kind of promoted, who kind of created this idea of Scrum Master, I think they were not in terms looking at it from the, noun perspective. They were looking at it from the adjective perspective. In other words, Scrum Master is gender neutral, right? It doesn't matter whether it's a woman or is a man, or whichever gender you identify yourself with, right? So some people have been agitating that if we have a Scrum Master, which gives that masculinity, how about we have things like Scrum Mistress or Scrum Lady, which gives that female version of that master. But whichever case, it is an ongoing debate, right? So people have been agitating, should we have a Scrum Mistress or should we have a Scrum Lady as against Scrum Master? But in the context that Jeff Sunderland and Ken Schwaber used that, I think they were looking at it from the adjective point of view, that it's not that kind of a man who has people working for him, but rather someone who has the mastery, who has the skill and proficiency when it comes to Scrum. All right, so because of these ongoing debates, right, so most people have been coming up with different titles that could correlate, that could be associated with Scrum Master. And based on my research, based on my survey, based on a number of my experience with people, some of the common titles that people have come up with, they include Scrum Mistress, Scrum Architect, Scrum Lead, Agile Delivery Lead, Scrum Champion, Scrum Coach, Agile Delivery Coach, Servant Leader, Scrum Advocate, Promoter, Defender, Cultivator, Empiric Advocate, By empiricism advocate, that comes from the idea of empiricism. So if you have watched my video where I kind of try to explain and analyze the three Scrum pillars: transparency, inspection, and adaptation. So I try to channel that argument on how Scrum is an empirical process control, right? So empiricism is the idea of observation, things that are very observational. Okay, that's where you have that empiricism advocate. Iteration manager, delivery manager, Scrum coordinator, Scrum alchemist. Even some job postings have changed the title, but the job duties still remain the same, with that of the Scrum Master. So what I think these job or companies are doing in order to avoid that, gender stereotype about master, so they start to go with like delivery lead, agile delivery lead, or agile delivery coach, or Scrum coordinator, Scrum lead. So in other words, but still the same, but these are titles that most people are coming up in order for give us that idea that master is, could be very derogatory, or it could be masculinity, but without giving the sense of female idea of master. Eligibility criteria. So most people have been thinking, oh, do I qualify to become a Scrum Master? Whether you are from the arts department, humanities, science, most people have been asking that question. Even people who have been working in, different professions like healthcare, construction, aerospace, military. Most people have been even asking a question about what is the eligibility criteria. Even people who are still new, hearing about Scrum for the first time. So today I'm going to clear that debate about the eligibility criteria of a Scrum Master, whether coming from the academic perspective or coming from the professional background. All right, so there has been a common assumption that Scrum or Scrum Master course is mostly designed for people like program managers, project managers, product managers, business analysts, BA, quality assurance, QA lead, test managers, and all that kind of IT related and even business related professionals. But is that the case? Most people have been saying that. Scrum is classified as an IT profession, right? But it's not technical in a literal sense, right? Scrum is not very technical. Scrum is about ability to help people, if I have to take it that way, or if I have to take that route, right? So in order for us to know and understand the eligibility criteria, we need to at least using the elimination method, what you don't need to become a Scrum Master. So if you can understand what you don't need to become a Scrum Master, so I guess you can really understand the eligibility criteria in order to become a Scrum Master. And what is it that you don't need to become a Scrum Master? Few things. You don't need to become a computer programmer, an IT or computer-related professional. No, you don't need it. Maybe you've been thinking that it's only for software developers, programmers, people who in the IT, like doing the coding, cybersecurity. Not at all. You don't need to become a computer programmer. You don't need to become an IT guy. No, you don't need it. That's not true. I'm talking based on my experience as a Scrum Master and also from research. The other second thing, you don't need to become a rocket scientist. You don't need to be in the science department to become or to really get that pathway to become a Scrum Master. If we can eliminate these two criteria, so what is it that we need to become a Scrum Master? Two things. One is passion. Do you have the passion to help people? How passionate are you? Right? I have once been in an interview where the interviewer was interviewing me, and then he said, "John Bosco, I see how passionate you are explaining Scrum and Scrum-related questions. And I would recommend you moving forward for the next line of step in the interview process." Passion. And I don't think you can agree with me or disagree with me that you can buy passion. Passion is one thing you can buy, right? You can't get a certificate for that. It's something you develop by yourself, right? And the second thing you need to become a Scrum Master is common sense. Common sense. And most people say common sense is not common. I wouldn't know how to that is, but in other words, you need a common sense and you need passion, right? And just to summarize the eligibility criteria, if you like to help people, then the chances are high that you are already a Scrum Master, because a Scrum Master is one, you are helping the team members to continuously deliver value. I was once in an interview where the guy was asking me, what is the primary responsibility of a Scrum Master? And I tried to nail it by saying that the primary responsibility of a Scrum Master is to help team members to deliver value. And that summarizes it, right? If you have that passion, if you have the common sense to help people, believe me, you are qualified. If I have to use that word, qualified to become a Scrum Master. And now the next thing to consider is what are the step-by-steps approach or process to becoming a Scrum Master. I looked at different people's arguments. Most people have tried to give their opinions about what you should do to become a Scrum Master, and there are things that don't really add up, right? So I'm trying to organize those information in such a way that they are simplified. And I say that there are about 7 steps to take in order to become a Scrum Master, in order to live the life of a Scrum Master. The first you need is to have passion and common sense. It is very necessary, right? If you don't have passion to help people, don't go into Scrum. You get frustrated because you meet developers, you meet team members who are struggling, who need your help. They need you to help them. And that is why companies are hiring you, paying you a huge amount of money for you to work. And what you do, you don't do any kind of technical work. You don't code, you don't program. You're just helping the developers to do the job. Do you have passion? Do you have common sense? If you have these 2 things, that is a check mark for you. That's number 1 step to take. The second thing is to enroll in a Scrum course. I have some friends, and I have this friend. I was talking with him some time ago, and then he said that he has taken a Scrum course, and he took 3 days to take this Scrum course. I was like, really? Do people take Scrum course just 3 days and then become Scrum Master? I don't know. I mean, I wouldn't know what the process that where he learned that from, but it's not a magic to do learn Scrum in a matter of 3 days, and that reminds me about being Scrum and living Scrum and doing Scrum. Some people do Scrum, some people be Scrum, some people live Scrum. I mean, if you want to really do or learn Scrum, enroll in a Scrum course, contact ScrumMaster.com. ScrumMaster.com is a platform, a consulting firm that specializes in tutoring, teaching, guiding, mentoring, coaching you to become a Scrum Master. And it takes about 6 weeks, a space of 6 weeks. Each day, you spend at least 1 hour for 6 weeks. You learn all the theory, the practical part of it, and the hands-on on becoming a Scrum Master. 6 weeks. Then you take your certification exam, right? So enroll in a Scrum course, contact ScrumMaster.com. Go to the website, look to the pages, contact Scrum Master if you need consult. If you need to consult Scrum Master, do consult and then have that interaction before you can go ahead. After the course, I would suggest you take a Scrum certification exam. There are 2 communities or bodies that are known for giving that exam. You have one is Scrum Alliance, the other is Scrum.org. So when you taking the course, go to Scrum Alliance or Scrum.org, pay for that exam, take the exam. The 4th one is polish your resume. Polish your resume, your CV, and professional sites like LinkedIn, Indeed, depending on the site you're using, right? So after you've taken the certification exam, you need to polish your resume and organize it in such a way that it looks professional. You don't need a professor to help you with that. If you need guidance, if you need help, contact Scrum Master for that. They will help you do that. Okay. the other thing you need is get dirty with job hunting. And my recommendation is apply at least 20 job postings in a single day, right? So there are some postings that are scam, right? So imagine when you are applying for 3 jobs in a day, and those 3 jobs are scam, and you think that, oh, you have applied this too hard to get a scam job. Why? Because you're not doing the actual work. When you apply at least 20 job postings in a day, in a week, you know how many you're applying for? And there's no way in a week out of those amount of jobs you apply that all of them, at least one, will come with a recruiter interview. That is the first step, at least. Imagine when you're applying for 30 jobs in a day, 40 jobs in a day. In a week, accumulation of that will give you at least 1 or 2 or 3 recruiter interview, right? So after your job hunting, now you land your job. Congratulations that you've landed your job, right? Now you've gotten the job offer, you have that whopping amount of money, and then you're so excited. And then what is the next step to do? Find someone you can shadow to learn, to get that real life experience for at least 3 months, right? I remember when I started my first job, right, I was required to shadow another Scrum Master for a project, right? I was required to shadow the guy for 2 weeks, right? For 2 weeks. And within that time, I was helping the guy to during the ceremonies, facilitate, and then do some documentation just to get my feet wet in order to understand the domain, the project domain, and also my team members, right? So these are the 7 steps I would recommend that you take, right? If you need further information on any of those step-by-step process, please don't fail to add the comments in the comment section or even contact me at info@ScrumMaster.com. Okay, so what are the prerequisites? The good news, I have good news for you. The good news is there is no eligibility criteria to become a Scrum Master or to get this certification. Isn't that great? There's no eligibility, right? I remember when I was applying for my master's, right? My master's actually is in English and literature. And then there has to be some requirements. One of the requirements were to have done undergraduate in either of these, or you could provide proof that you have any article just to show proficiency that you can be able to read and write and do research. You know what I mean? So, but in Scrum, there is no eligibility criteria. It's an open book for everybody. Isn't that great? You don't need to be, know anything about technical stuff, coding, programming. No, you don't need it. Even though Scrum is classified as an IT, right? But you don't need either of those. Summarizing what I think you would need to know before you dive into Scrum, or if you haven't about Scrum. Are you thinking about breaking into IT sector? Perhaps. Are you thinking of earning 6-figure annually? Oh my God. When you're earning over 100,000 annually, isn't that great? Are you thinking of working from home, a remote position job? Are you thinking of working 2 jobs at the same time and from the comfort of your home? If these really work with you, do you know what you need to do? You need to consider to become a Scrum Master. All right. If any of this information really sink or you've been thinking about it, you know what you need to do? You need to contact ScrumMaster.com. ScrumMaster would help you, right? ScrumMaster will help you with some of the services like Scrum class, mentoring and coaching, hands-on experience, resume, CV polishing, professional sites, organizing your professional site like LinkedIn, and Indeed, recommended resource materials. I need one thing about ScrumMaster.com is the ability to recommend resources for you. It's not about doing the Scrum class. No, I need would guide you, would push you in such a way that you would realize how you have moved from where you are to where you are hoping to be. And it would also help you to sync with communities of practice and other Scrum and Agile related information, right? So that's what I need Scrum Master would help you with. All right. Does that sound like something you are hoping to get into? Oh my God, I can see how excited you are. So if you've been thinking about Scrum, if you've been thinking about getting into IT, if you've been thinking about doing something that you can earn a lot of money, have time for yourself, get that work-life balance, believe me, Scrum is the best bet, right? So leave your comments in the comment section. If this is the first time you're visiting my channel, please don't fail to subscribe and click that notification button, like, share, refer your friends, your colleague about Scrum. If you have any question, any concern, please don't fail to reach out to me either via email or through the comment section, and I'll try as much as I can to be able to respond as soon as I can, right? All right, that's where we're going to stop here for today. Remember that I would always release videos twice a week, Mondays and Fridays. So always look out for new videos and even the old ones, because each of the videos are adding up to each other. I try as much as I can to take it from the 0 level to that advanced level, realizing that some people are already in the Scrum profession, some people are zero knowledge. So no matter where you are, I've got you covered. All right. My name is John Pascal, but please feel free to call me JB, as my friends do call me, and then I will see you again next time. All right, bye for now.